Oh, I love a good Nars holiday release. Like, they just do sophisticated and glamorous so well. So as you can imagine, today we're going to look at 3 different products, a face palette, face and eye palette. We've got a single gold eyeshadow. We've got a reflecting limited edition, well, it's all limited edition setting powder, which I'm going to use as a finishing powder. All sorts of good stuff from a holiday Nars 24 Karat collection. Today with me, Rebecca. I am a fashion and beauty editor who realized that not as many people are reading magazines anymore. So I have brought a digital version of a beauty magazine here to YouTube. I call it Not Fit for Print Beauty, and you can kind of flip through this beauty magazine nearly every day here on YouTube. Okay, as I said, Nars feels very special to me in general, but especially around the holidays. And we have some really cool releases that can be worn in some creative, different ways, and that I would like to share with you today. Okay, the first, we're going to start off, they're all limited edition. This is the Nars Holiday 24 Karat collection, very aptly named, very golden. We're going to start off with the Pure Luxury Light Reflecting Cheek and Eye Palette. This is $60 and comes in 2 colorways. I picked up the palette number 1. As a light, medium, neutral, I could really go with either one, but I am purchasing these myself, and they're $60, so I just went ahead with one, and I kind of went eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I picked palette number 1. This is the lighter of the 2. I hope it was the right choice. Let me show you what we got here. I would love to say, well, we have 2 cheek shades and 3 eye shades. Really, we have 5 shades that can be used anywhere on the face. Do not worry. We are going to do swatches in 2 different lights, so you will see it. But let's talk about what I mean. First of all, the packaging. Beautiful kind of gold. It looks definitely like a 24 karat nugget almost. And in the pans, in the demo, I say they're undulating, meaning but that would actually mean that they're moving currently. No, but they have a wave to them. The way they're it's really interesting. It's easy to get your brush in there too. Actually serves kind of a purpose. If you're using a brush, you could really get it in there. It's really kind of cool. And I say undulating because it feels like it's moving, like a river of gold. It's really cool. Okay, we don't need a brand's permission to use certain shades on eyes, cheeks, lips, wherever you want, but oftentimes there are stipulations put in place, especially in the U.S. by the Food and Drug Administration, about maybe certain shades causing eye irritation, etc., and Nars is letting us know none of that applies here. So go ahead and use these wherever, however you want, anywhere on your face. Today, we're going to use one on the eyes, but we're also going to bronze with it because it works for my skin tone. Highlight, we're going to kind of mix the blush. You'll see in the demo, I won't ruin it for you, but we are going to work with this all over my face, and I'm very excited about it because I love me a face palette. Everything's a face palette to me. So when it's actually a face palette, can you imagine? Okay, let's talk about the eyeshadow here. This is a one and done little eyeshadow. It's $22, limited edition single. It is called Gold Rush. It is a high pigment, high shine, glitter, one and done shadow. It doesn't have to be one and done. You can go ahead and combine it with another one. Looks about the size of those Charlotte Tilbury little... She's re-releasing those, isn't she? I think I saw somewhere. Unless it was a dream. I think I saw that somewhere. Okay, so this one we're going to wear as a one and done today, although we do use a little bit of that kind of bronze shade from the Eye and Cheek palette with it, but you can do whatever you want with it. It's full-on glitter. I'm wearing it now, so you're getting a sneak peek. Does it have fallout, Rebecca? Again, it's full-on glitter, so yeah. Okay, there's a bear go in the woods. I mean, yeah, okay. So, yes. We're going to look at it. Now, Nars has a habit of doing these limited edition collections and bringing back shades. So I tried to research the shades in the face palette, and I'm like, oh, I'm not really finding them, but they're probably out there somewhere. Nars pulls from its back catalog, and it always says that everything is new because it's either newly in that casing or newly put together with those shades. So though I didn't find evidence, and I think they're new, it says that this Gold Rush shade is actually new, and I do believe that. In terms of the cheek and eye palette, your guess is kind of as good as mine. I know, I'm the journalist who's got to read. My staff is lazy. Okay, now let's talk about this and how I'm going to use it. This is the Gold Dust Light Reflecting Setting Powder, also limited edition. This is a powder, setting powder, Nars calls it, infused with gold sheen, and it's in the Holiday Gold Compact here. Nars has always beautiful packaging. Comes with a little sponge. Boy, you'd have to be applying a lot to use this sponge. Again, you do you, but to me, I'm like, oh, that's a lot. And you had to soften it by swirling around in it first. This is basically their famous powder, but with a little bit of a gold sheen to it. To me, that's more of a finishing powder. What is the difference between them calling it a setting powder and me using it as a finishing powder? Don't you worry, I'm going to launch into my setting and finishing little spiel when we get to that part in the demo. And you know, there's timestamps, so you can decide whether or not you need that information. But that will be in there. This little limited edition guy is $40. And I have to tell you, all the gold here, including the gold and silver in this powder, and the gold in this eyeshadow, the gold packaging here, I think it's beautiful. I love Nars anyway. You know, there's so many people that are like, oh, Nars, it's the same thing over and over. I'm like, I know it is, and I love them for it. Give it to me, give it all to me. I love Nars. I've never made any bones about that. I would have bought both holiday face palettes, except that, you know, I gotta have a limit somewhere. Put a little sponge back in him over here. Okay, so we are going to go to the demo, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to work with all of these, but I'd love your feedback on what you purchased and what you're going to do with it all. Please also keep in mind that Nars has a whole bunch of other releases for the holidays, and they're kind of going along with this 24 karat collection. You know, you can look at lips and all sorts of fun things over there. So I'll put that in the corner for you to look at. Also, I want you to go down into the description bar where you can see how to buy this. And when I can, I put it up here on the screen in YouTube shopping. I don't know if I can do that with Nars. We'll see. But check out the description bar. It also gives you information on our free Facebook page. Thank you, Helen, for running the heck out of that. And in our under $5 membership here on YouTube, which donates money to purchase all these fun things to the channel, we have weekly lives and have really good time. Plus there's super thanks. Come see me over on Instagram, TikTok, Threads. All that info is down below. Oops, almost forgot the ingredients. Check those out. And here are the swatches. First in studio light. There is the palette, cheek and eyes, and then the little gold eyeshadow. But you'll see it better outside in the warm California sunshine. There is the cheek and eye palette, the gold shade, and there is, oh, can you see it? Can you see it? Barely see it. The kind of reflective face powder there. I want to go now to the demo. So happy to have you here with me for these really cool holiday releases. Stay right there. It's not that I'm unprepared. It's just that I kind of haven't really decided what I want to do, especially with the reflecting cheek and eye palette and the Gold Rush eyeshadow. Because to me, though this can be combined with this, I want to see this as a one and done. So I could do a face wash, but you know what I think I'm going to do? All of these colors can be used on the eyes. Now we don't need Nars's permission to do that, but what they're saying is there's no eye irritants that in the US the FDA would say to stay away from in terms of putting pigment on eyes. So all of this could be on eyes and I think would be beautiful. But I think I'm going to use this as a face palette. I'll tell you why. We've got three beautiful kind of satiny blushes here. This is like a blush topper or a highlighter. You saw the swatches. And this, for my skin tone, will work as a bronzer. Now, please understand that there are two palettes, and this is the lighter of the two. So if you have a deeper skin tone, you could still use that on the eye, maybe not as a bronzer. Okay, but this is the lighter, and I think it'll work on me, so let's start with it. Do I have to use this as a bronzer? Nope. I could use this if I wanted to, just on the eyes, but I'm going to actually just kind of warm up my face with it. I'll go right here and show you the difference. This palette undulates. This palette is cool. You know, the waviness on the top, but it actually, in the pan, it actually undulates. Okay, so let me just show you on half my face. If I just were to warm up half my face and use this kind of like a bronzer, I'm using this Sonia G brush to just kind of, it's a little light for me as a bronzer, but I just kind of want to show you, definitely you can see the difference, right? Okay. So let's continue on here. And I'm going to put this bronzer here and warm it up. I was having trouble juggling there. I've got small hands, so when I'm holding it for a long time, it... Oh, stop with your excuses, Rebecca. You're just a klutz. That's true, too. Okay, so I have kind of just warmed up my face here. You can definitely see the bronzer on there. And again, depending on skin tone is what palette you would choose and whether or not you would actually use it as a bronzer. But I did. Okay, let's take this rougher number 4, and I'm going to go into this highlight shade first. It's so interesting the way the actual pan undulates. Undulates would indicate that it's kind of moving, and it seems that way. It isn't, but it's just ripply. Okay, so here is the one shade that I would use to highlight. So we'll use that on both cheeks, a little bit on the nose and above here. And that looks really pretty. Again, both of these could go on eyes. That would work too. Okay, how about for cheeks? Well, you saw all 3 of these, and this could be a blush. Really, it could be, depending upon. What I think I want to do, though, is since they all come in the same palette, and this is the palette number 1, and you're not deciding among the 3, you know, let's just mix them. I mean, if I were wearing an outfit that had more peach or more pink or were more neutral, I might do that. But let's just mix them. Why not? If you've ever gone to the 7-Eleven, stay with me here. If you're in the US or North America, you'll know. And you go to get your drink and you can't decide. So you go to the soda fountain. Please tell me you've done this. And you just go for it. Like underneath all of them. Ever done that? That's what we're doing here. We are at the 7-Eleven blush soda fountain. Good ratio of ice is needed, of course, as well. And then you just go to town and you make yourself a mixed fountain drink, right? That's what we're doing right here. Now, I am using goat hair natural brushes, and so that is kind of making a nice mix. They have a nice little sheen to them, and it's blending with the highlighter I already put down and kind of bringing the highlighter more onto the cheeks, which I don't mind at all. Now we're going to talk about texture and such. I am definitely overdoing it. This is a rougher number 5, if I didn't say, and I am overdoing it because I would like to show you this. Now you're going to say, I want to see each color though. Well, number 1, if you really need that, just let me know. I'll put it over on Instagram. That's where I do my swatches, and I'm really happy to do that for you. But remember, if you get one of these, you get them all. And I did do swatches, so you should have seen it, but if you need something better, just let me know, okay? But that's my kind of reasoning in doing this. Now, I overdid that there, and it was very hard to overdo, but I used a natural hair brush to pick up those kind of baked shades there. No, it's not really emphasizing texture. It's not de-emphasizing texture. Please know, of course, that highlight brings out, and these are a bit highlighty. So it's not going to de-emphasize texture, but it's not making my pores look like craters. And I do get big pores on my cheeks. I never used to. One of the other thrills of not being 20 anymore. Okay, you know what else I'm going to do? I want to get into this Gold Rush eyeshadow single, but I'm actually going to put my money where my mouth is first and take this Rephr number 27 and go into what I used as a bronzer shade and just show you. I didn't even knock off the powder. I just want to show you, because I have hooded eyes, it is a good idea. You don't have to, but it is kind of a good idea always to have a little something kind of matte. This isn't exactly matte, but it's certainly more matte than the shiny shade in the crease, just to kind of emphasize the eyes. And you know, you could actually leave it like this. I mean, that's not a bad look. Okay, but we're gonna go in with the gold because we're gonna do a little bit of a party look here. Okay. That is that palette. Used a little bit on the eyes and then kind of done 7-Eleven soda style on the rest of the face. But the highlighter, I used as a highlighter, but it kind of mixed in. All right, let's go ahead and keep this 27. You could use, if you want to do this look, you could use any bronzer, the crease. And yeah, I'm covering it. Let's see if we have a lot of fallout, because I mean, we are talking a glitter shade here. And I'm going to go all the way across the lid. Yes, definitely fallout, okay, but I am using a very fluffy brush, so I am asking for fallout. And I don't mind fallout, and I just brushed it right off, and no biggie. Okay, if I use my finger, I bet I'll have less fallout and a more intense shade payoff. And that's my finger. A little bit of fallout. You're going to get a little. This is a very glittery shade. All right, so let me just kind of show you. Yeah, so fallout. Actually, I think I'm making it worse here. I'm actually getting a little more fallout with my finger because I was applying it more intensely. Fallout doesn't bother me, but it might bother you. You will get fallout with this palette. This is with a fluffy eye brush, so it's a lot more kind of an ethereal topper type. This is with my finger, so that's a lot more intense. The fallout is the same. I suppose you could use like a glitter glue. I'm not going to bother, but I suppose you could. It just depends how much you dislike fallout. I just can't imagine somebody who's really averse to fallout being like, yay, a glitter one and done shadow, gimme, gimme. But I hate fallout. You know, it doesn't really go together. You know what I'm saying? So if you're probably like me and you don't mind it. And there is the difference in the way the eye shades. You do see a difference there, I hope. Okay, let me apply this a little with the finger on this side, just to kind of even it out a little bit. Okay, and that's definitely a party shade. You could also apply this with other shadows, or you could apply it just gently, or especially with a fluffy brush as a sparkle. You know, you can also put a little powder underneath your eyes and just brush it away. The good thing about this is it's not the glitter, kind of that sticky glitter that's there for good. I just had no problem just kind of, you know, swiping it away. Just swipe it away. Or do your complexion last. Okay. There are timestamps here for a reason. If you know this explanation that I'm about to launch into, I'll timestamp it so you know. Let's talk about this Gold Dust Light Reflecting Limited Edition Setting Powder, okay? This is a setting powder, but I'm going to use it as a finishing powder because I'm such a rebel. Well, let me explain, okay? And this is something I have said 20 times if I've said once on my channel, but we always get new viewers. So let me explain this and use the timestamps if you need to avoid it. There are two types of powder in this world, setting powder and finishing powder. Setting powder, which this does claim to be, is something that sets your complexion, meaning that after you finish your foundation and your concealer, you are setting that so it doesn't move around, so it doesn't sink into lines. Then there's a finishing powder, which is kind of, as the name implies, for when you are finished with all the rest of your makeup like we are here. And it just kind of blends it and melds it. If you happen to have delineation lines between highlighter and blush, or blush and bronzer, or anything like that, it kind of smooths all those out and smooths over the complexion. This bills itself as a setting powder. That means the first one over foundation and concealer, but it has a lot of gold sheen to it. I prefer a matte setting powder and a shinier finishing powder. So I'm going to actually flip the script and use this as a finishing powder. For that, I am going to buff my face with this slightly shiny powder, and for that I like to use a kabuki style brush, but I prefer Sonia G. So we're going to do that. Let me just show you. Nars says to please kind of move the powder around with a brush so that you can get really in there and break the seal. Not break the seal, but like really mix it together. Now it does come with a little sponge on top, and if you're really setting and you have really oilier skin, you might want to use that. I don't need to. Let me just show you. It's going to be pretty sparkly. On this side of the face, I am going to buff. And at first I put a lot on there. Just stay with me here because this has some silver in it. And I am going to buff, and I am going to buff, and I am going to buff. I had a lot on the brush, especially because it was the first time I used it, and I really wanted to kind of drag it through there. And I want to show you what it does on this side of the face when worn this way. You can also use it just to set under the eyes, and it would be very pretty, especially if you don't mind having it set with a little bit of luminosity. Okay, so I had a lot on the brush because I won't have as much on this side. But let me just show you kind of an example, and you can keep, that looks like I'm being very rough on my face, but this brush is extraordinarily soft. Okay, there is a difference now. This side of my face has what I have used as a finishing powder, and this side does not. It also does help the makeup stay in place and stay longer. I will speed it up now and do the other side. I guess I have to match how much powder, don't I? I have, honestly, wear something over. Like put a little robe over on a glitter bomb. I admit it. Okay, I'm going to do the other side. I'll speed it up. There is a lot of luminosity, not just on my sweater, but on my whole face. This is definitely, to me, party makeup. If you are just, when I use setting powder, I tend to just use it around the nose and under the eyes. I don't want luminosity there. But if you know, on the T-zone or whatever, nothing wrong with it. Usually people are using setting powder on the T-zone to get rid of a shine, so they're not necessarily wanting to add back in luminosity, but you know, go on with your bad self and do what you want to do. I think that's a pretty look. I can even go back over it and add in a little bit more kind of a blush look on top if I wanted to. There's a lot I can do. I think it's beautiful, especially very, you know, for the holiday season. It feels very happy and very holiday and very sparkly and frankly very glamorous, as Nars always feels to me. I would love to know what your thoughts are. I mean, there is more to this collection than just these. I think I showed you that earlier. But these are kind of, to me, the newest and best and brightest from Nars for this limited edition holiday collection, the 24 karat collection, and it deserves that name for sure. Okay, let me know what you think. I would love for you to share and like this video, but honestly, we are a community, and that is brought about by you leaving comments and us interacting with one another. So definitely do that. And the kindest compliment that you can give me is to subscribe to this channel. We got more coming up. I've got Givenchy coming up. I've got Makeup Forever coming up. One size foundation is on its way to me as well. All sorts of good stuff. So make sure that you stick around and subscribe, and I'll see you all hopefully in the next video. Bye-bye.